Hi, this is David Carr with the WordPress for Toastmasters project. I'm here to share a few things with you. Some of it is recent updates in the software, but more importantly, just how you go about planning out your agenda so that it's well organized and that you can carry it off on time. You can wrap up the meeting when you tell people you're going to wrap up the meeting. So I'm here on my demo site. This is the sign up view where I can sign up for a role. If I have sufficient rights, I can also assign other people to roles. For example, if I'm the Toastmaster of the day, I might get a phone call from somebody and I might be the one who plugs them into the online system. But we also have the agenda view. So this is a printable agenda. It has some information on the sidebar about the club and the club mission. And we want to get all these speaker roles filled in. But this is the skeleton of it, where you can see this is a 1-hour meeting. It starts at 6:30, and it's supposed to be wrapping up at 7:29. And we have all the times along here plotted out. Now, it doesn't mean that everything's going to go off to the second as it is planned here. But if I look at my agenda and I see that we were supposed to be done with table topics and starting on our speakers by 6:48, then I know I'm in trouble if it's 7:10. So this is going to give you some benchmarks, some pointers so that you know when you're running behind and you need to make up time. And also as you're planning your weekly meeting, things often change. And part of what I wanted to talk to you about is how you change things when, for example, somebody needs to give a longer speech and you need to cut back on table topics or some other activity. I've been working on making that easier. One of the ways I'm making it easier is if you go under Edit Signups, there's this thing called the Agenda Time Planner. Now, there's another way of plotting out the times on the agenda that's really only available to editors of the website. So typically you would have your webmaster and maybe the VP of education, one or two other officers, maybe more than that, but you know, your trusted, solid people who've taken the time to learn how to do it, be able to edit the website. But the Toastmaster of the day might find out that they need more time for a certain activity and want to be able to make some adjustments. So you can do that here. So this is laid out so that you can see the times for the different activities. So this is the Sergeant of Arms opens the meeting, maybe leads the Pledge of Allegiance. There's some self-introductions, some things that the president leads, and then goes over to the Toastmaster of the day. The Toastmaster of the day introduces these other players. They don't have time associated with them because this is all sort of under the Toastmaster of the day, managing that block of time where he introduces the supporting players. In this meeting organization, we have table topics near the beginning. Then we have our speakers and our evaluations. All right. So what happens when somebody wants to give a longer speech? So all of a sudden, instead of 23 minutes, well, that's 3 speakers. So the count is 3 speakers. Times 7 is 21. We've got a little bit of wiggle room in there because we've allowed 23, but now it's going to have to be 25, 26. So that means our meeting is going to run late if we don't do something else. It's supposed to be wrapping up at 7:30. Now it's going to 7:33. So we can dial back on table topics. So, okay, we only have 7 minutes to do table topics. Well, that's still probably 3 table topics. The topics master runs it efficiently. And so that works. You know, obviously another way you could deal with that issue is you could say, yeah, we'll let this one person have their longer speech, but that means we should only have 2 speakers. So it's not going to be 14, it's going to be 18 because of that longer speech. And also, if we only have 2 speakers, we only need 2 evaluators. So that actually saves some time. So now I can actually allow more time for table topics. Okay, so I can dial that up a bit. So these things are This now is my plan. In order to make it official, I need to click Update. And I get back a confirmation that it has been updated. I can go out and view the agenda, and I will see the changes that I made, but it's still a meeting that's going to wrap up at 7:29. The other way to change this lineup is to edit the actual agenda document using the WordPress tools. Typically, what you would do if you were going to change the way your standard meeting is run is you would go into edit the template. So the template is the model for how our meetings normally run. So this is how things schedule that we have, and hopefully there are no particular special circumstances. I'm going to take myself out of the video just to avoid cluttering up the screen too much, because some of the action we want to see here is going on in the sidebar, so that we can see that there's time allowed for the different roles on my agenda. So this is the amount of time that's allowed for this Toastmaster of the day to introduce folks. And there are also times associated with activities such as Sergeant of Arms opens the meeting, leads the Pledge of Allegiance, that can have time associated with them as well. And there is a little preview here showing what the plan is in terms of how much time is allowed for each activity. Now I can make changes here, and when I update the post, we actually should see that reflected in the sidebar preview. But notice there's also a link to the other tool that I was showing you, this Agenda Time Planner, because I think sometimes it's easier to see them all side by side and be able to make adjustments to different things in that view. Let me just mention that one important thing is whenever we update the template, we're prompted to create or update events based on the template. So anything that was created previously that was based on this template, we can update to reflect our current model for how the meetings are going to work. So that could include timing changes. You can also do some things that back here that you can't do on the front end. For example, we can move table topics down to the end of the meeting, because maybe we've decided that some of our meetings are running too long and it would be better to have all the speeches and other activities up front, and table topics is something that we can flex a little bit easier by having it at the end. Different clubs prefer different things. So I can update that here. So now this has been updated, I could also use this same tool. So it warns me that it's displayed using a current date, but this is really a template that we're viewing as opposed to an individual event date. And it shows how all our times are planned out. It shows, based on some of the changes I've made, the meeting is actually wrapping up at 7:28. So maybe we'll go back and give the Topics Master a few more minutes. And when we update this in the template view, it also shows the Create Update prompt here. Now this is only going to be displayed for somebody who has the appropriate editing rights on your website. So if I'm the VP of Education, I definitely want to be assigned those rights. So we can see all the events that were previously created based on this template. We see that this one was modified independently, and maybe we don't want to overwrite that. So we can check this off to say that we want to update them all with the exception of that one that we'll uncheck. And we go to Add Update from Template. And now when we go out and view this, we view the agenda, we'll see that Table Topics has been moved to closer to the end of the meeting, but still we have the president wrapping things up at 7:29. So it's a good plan, it's a solid plan, and hopefully that will lead to a great meeting.